Hi everyone, we all want success. We crave peace, we seek respect. But somewhere between the noise of the world and the whispers of our own hearts, we forget one simple truth. You cannot master life unless you learn to master yourself. And that mastery begins with three things: your mouth, your mood, and your money. First, control your mouth. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. What you speak can either water someone's soul or burn down their entire self-worth. We live in a world that already throws knives. Don't let your tongue become one of them. Pause before you speak. Ask yourself, is this kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? Because silence, my friends, is never empty. Sometimes it is the loudest sign of strength. Think before you speak. Words can heal or harm. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But if we truly understood the weight our words carry, we'd probably speak a lot less and listen a lot more. The truth is, words are not just sounds formed by our lips and carried by the air. They're living things. They take root in hearts, they echo in memories, and they shape people's lives in ways we don't always see. You can spend years building someone's trust, someone's confidence, someone's sense of self, and then in one careless sentence, tear it all down. That's the terrifying power of a tongue left unchecked. So many people walk around smiling, pretending to be okay, when inside they're carrying around the weight of something someone said years ago. Maybe it was a parent's careless criticism. Maybe it was a friend's sarcastic remark. Maybe it was just one sentence, one moment that landed in their heart like a dagger and never quite came out. And what's worse, the person who said it might not even remember saying it, because we forget what we say, but others remember how it made them feel. In a world where everyone's in a rush to speak, to react, to be the loudest voice in the room, the one who pauses to think before speaking stands out. That pause, that sacred moment between thought and speech, it's where wisdom lives. It's where maturity shows up. When you think before you speak, you're not censoring yourself. You're respecting the impact of your voice. You're choosing to create rather than destroy. Let's be honest, it's easy to talk when we're angry. When someone pushes our buttons, the first instinct is to lash out, to clap back, to make them feel what we're feeling. But what if we stopped and asked ourselves, what am I really trying to do here? Am I trying to be right, or am I trying to be kind? Because winning an argument by cutting someone down isn't winning, it's losing yourself. Kindness doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And then there's sarcasm, that cool shield we hide behind to say things we don't want to own. We think it's witty, clever, harmless, but often it's just cruelty in costume. Some people laugh to hide how hurt they feel when someone mocks them in the name of just joking. The problem is, jokes don't come with erasers. Once spoken, they can't be undone. Even compliments, if not thoughtful, can cut deeper than insults. You may think you're being nice, but if your words carry judgment or comparison, they can do more harm than good. Telling someone you look so much better now might sound like praise to you, but what they might hear is you used to look terrible. That's why it's not just about thinking before you speak, it's about thinking from the other person's perspective. So much of communication isn't about what you say, it's about what the other person hears. That's why being intentional with your words is more important than being articulate. You don't need to use big vocabulary, you need to use big awareness. You need to realize that every conversation is an opportunity to either lift someone up or leave them feeling smaller. In truth, the mouth is the gatekeeper of the heart. What comes out of it reveals what's inside. If bitterness and harshness are pouring out, it's worth asking what's going on within. When we speak with anger, we're often revealing our own wounds. But when we speak with gentleness and patience, even in frustration, we show healing, we show strength. Now, your mood is your energy, and your energy enters the room before you do. You can be wearing the best clothes, quoting philosophers, pretending to have it all figured out, but if your mood is toxic, people will feel it and they will run. We all have bad days, we all feel broken, but emotional maturity means not bleeding on people who didn't cut you. Control your reactions, not just your action. If your mind is a battlefield, then peace is a practice. Learn to breathe before you break. Learn to respond, not react. Your calm is your power. Never trade it for temporary chaos. Control your reactions, not just your emotions. It's easy to talk about emotional intelligence when things are calm, when life is going smoothly, when people are kind, and when the path is straight. Self-control feels effortless. But the real test comes when things fall apart, when someone disrespects you, when you're misunderstood, when your patience is hanging by a thread. That's when the real you shows up. Not the filtered version, not the polished version, but the version shaped by your inner discipline or lack of it. Controlling emotions sounds nice, but emotions are internal. No one sees them until they leak out through your reactions. And that's where the problem usually begins. We've all been in situations where a single moment of reaction ruined a day, a relationship, an opportunity. Maybe it was a text sent too quickly, a door slammed too hard, a word shouted too loud. Maybe it was the look on your face, the tone of your voice, the sarcasm in your reply. And once those reactions leave your body, you can't call them back. They do damage and then they echo. And often it's not what you felt that people remember. It's how you made them feel in that reaction. Emotions are human. They're not weaknesses. Anger, frustration, sadness, disappointment, they're all valid. You don't need to suppress them. But you do need to learn to manage them, because unfiltered emotion is like fire. It can warm or it can destroy. Reactions are the sparks. One careless spark and you're watching something valuable burn before your eyes. What could have been a conversation becomes a war. What could have been a lesson becomes a regret. People will trigger you. Life will disappoint you. Things will not go according to plan. That's guaranteed. But how you respond, that's the part you control. You don't get to choose the weather, but you do get to choose how you walk through the storm. Some people let every inconvenience turn into a meltdown. Others experience the same pain, the same loss, but respond with composure and quiet strength. And that difference doesn't come from pretending, it comes from practice. Practicing emotional control doesn't mean you don't feel deeply. It means you've trained yourself to pause before reacting. That pause, those 2 or 3 seconds, they change everything. That's where self-awareness kicks in. That's where the voice in your head says, is this reaction going to help or hurt? Will I regret this later? Am I acting from emotion or from intention? And if you can learn to breathe in that space, you start to take your power back. There's a myth that reacting fast means you're confident, bold, unafraid. But more often, it just means you're impulsive. True confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself in the heat of the moment. It knows that sometimes walking away is strength. Saying nothing is wisdom. Letting someone have the last word is power, not because you're weak, but because you focus on the bigger picture. Because peace is more important than pride. People who control their reactions don't avoid conflict. They just don't let it control them. They know that their energy is limited and their time is valuable. They choose to invest in things that matter instead of being drained by drama. They understand that how you respond says more about you than what caused the response. And that choosing calm over chaos, even when you're angry, even when you're right, is a decision that builds character every single time. Discipline in speech, mood, and money builds legacy. A legacy isn't built in a day. It's not a moment of brilliance or a single act of greatness. It's the result of small, repeated decisions made over time. And those decisions often come down to how much discipline you have in 3 areas that quietly shape your entire life: your speech, your mood, and your money. These are not flashy things. They don't make headlines, but they determine everything: your relationships, your peace of mind, your financial freedom, your reputation, and ultimately how you will be remembered. Discipline in speech is about knowing when to talk and when to hold back. It's not just about saying the right thing. It's about knowing when silence is louder, when softness is stronger, and when biting your tongue is wiser than proving a point. People think they're being real by saying whatever comes to mind, but there's a difference between being honest and being reckless. Discipline means thinking through your words before you release them. It means asking yourself, will this uplift or damage? Will this bring clarity or confusion? Will this reflect who I truly want to be? Because words are permanent. You can apologize, but you can't erase the memory of a careless sentence. When you learn to control your speech, you gain the ability to influence without manipulation, to inspire without exaggeration, and to correct without condemning. Mood is the internal environment you carry with you everywhere. And discipline in mood doesn't mean pretending to be okay when you're not. It means knowing how to manage yourself even when you're not okay. It's being aware of how your inner state affects the people around you. It's easy to justify snapping at someone because you're stressed or giving the cold shoulder because you had a bad day. But the disciplined person doesn't let their emotions spill all over people who didn't cause them. They recognize the power of self-regulation, not to suppress their feelings, but to direct them in a way that builds instead of breaks. Your mood is contagious, and how you show up emotionally can either bring calm or cause chaos. When people feel safe around you, not because you're perfect, but because you're stable, that's part of your legacy. Money, too, requires discipline, not just in how you earn it, but in how you use it. Discipline means resisting the urge to spend for approval, to buy for ego, to waste for a moment of false status. It means choosing patience over impulse, planning over panic, and long-term goals over short-term gratification. A person with disciplined finances understands that every purchase is a decision between now and the future. They understand that wealth isn't about how much you have, but how wisely you manage what you've got. And more importantly, they understand that money is a tool to serve their mission, not a metric to measure their worth. With financial discipline, you don't just survive, you build. You create something lasting, something that outlives you. Discipline in these 3 areas isn't glamorous. It won't get applause. But over time, it creates a consistency in your character that people trust. It makes you dependable in a world full of unpredictability. It makes you resilient in moments of pressure. It makes you wise when decisions are hard. And most of all, it makes your life a statement, not of perfection, but of intentionality. People may forget what you had, they may forget what you said, but they won't forget how you made them feel, how you carried yourself, and how you lived out what you believed. Discipline is the quiet architect of that memory.
In the dark where shadows play, heartbeats echo in dismay. Lost the map to yesterday, words too sharp to ever say. Ripped jeans and broken dreams, skate parks and silent screams. Moonlight dances on our schemes. We fly so high on shattered wings. Tears fall like rain on a midnight show. We're bound by secrets only we know. Holding tight but letting go. This love is a reckless rodeo. something amazing.